You ever look at betting odds for a football match and just wonder, what story are these numbers really telling me? Well, today we're going to break that down. We're going to show you how a deep dive into the data can predict a match, and we're going way beyond just figuring out who's supposed to win. Let's dive in.
All right, so the match we're putting under our statistical microscope today is a clash in the Argentine League, Independiente Rivadavia versus Godoy Cruz. Now, at first glance, the story here seems pretty simple. The odds for a home win are 2.13. For an away win, they're way up at 3.74. And as you probably know, lower odds mean a higher probability. So yeah, the numbers are clearly pointing to Independiente Rivadavia as the favorite. But that's just scratching the surface.
You see, the real secret to cracking this match isn't about who is going to win. It's about how many goals we should expect to see. And this, my friends, is where the data gets really, really interesting.
Okay, check this out. These are the odds for the total number of goals in the game. A bet on over 2.5 goals, that's 3 or more goals, is sitting at 2.68. But just look at the odds for under 2.5 goals. That number is incredibly low, and that is the number that changes absolutely everything.
This number right here, 1.37. This is everything. Seriously, forget who the favorite is for a second. This is the single most critical piece of data in our entire analysis. It is the key that's going to unlock a much, much smarter prediction.
So what does under 2.5 goals actually mean? Well, it's just a bet that the final goal tally for both teams combined will be 2, 1, or even 0. And an odd this low, at 1.37, it isn't just a suggestion. It's a massive statistical signal. The market is basically screaming at us that this is going to be a very, very low-scoring game.
A powerful signal like that is great, but we need some context, right? To really understand what a game with this kind of profile looks like, we have to go back in time. We need to look at the historical patterns from thousands of other matches that look just like this one on paper.
And when I say thousands, I really mean it. The analysis didn't just look at a handful of games. It sifted through a database of almost 40,000 past matches that had a similar statistical profile. I mean, that is a mountain of data.
And this wasn't just some random search either. The analysis was super specific. It only filtered for matches that fit our exact criteria. A clear home favorite, just like our game, combined with that really powerful expectation of a low-scoring match.
Okay, so we've got our nearly 40,000 similar matches. The big question is, what happened in them? Let's decode this data and see what history tells us about games that have this exact statistical fingerprint.
So looking at all that historical data, one result really stands out. Out of all those thousands of games, the single most common final score was a 1-1 draw. It happened almost 14% of the time. Now, 1-0 home win is close behind, but the draw is still number one. And that presents a bit of a puzzle.
And if you look at the halftime data, man, it just hammers this low-scoring point home even harder. A 0-0 score at the half is by far the most likely thing to happen, occurring in nearly a third of all these games. This tells you we should expect a really tight defensive game, at least in the first half.
So this brings us to the big question, right? You're probably thinking it. If the historical data says 1-1 is the most frequent result, shouldn't we just predict that and call it a day? Well, this is where our analysis gets really clever.
All right, it's time to put all the pieces together. We have the home team favorite, we have the super strong signal for low goals, and we have the historical trends. Now we're going to synthesize all of that to land on our final data-driven prediction. So let's just walk through the logic here. 1, we've got our key clue, that 1.37 odd, telling us to expect very few goals. 2, we have the general historical trend that says 1-1 is the most common score. 3, and here's the contradiction. A 1-1 score is 2 goals. That clashes directly with our most powerful clue. So, what do we trust more? The general trend from the past, or the very specific, powerful signal for this game? We have to trust the specific signal, and that forces us to throw out the 1-1 and instead prioritize scores with fewer than 2 goals, so 1-0 or 0-0. And that's where we bring back our final piece. Independiente is the favorite. That tips the scales and makes a 1-0 victory for the home team the most probable, logical conclusion. So here's what it all boils down to. Our analysis points to a very likely halftime score of 0-0. The most likely full-time score is a 1-0 win for the home team, and that all combines into a draw at halftime, home win at full-time prediction, a scenario where the game is decided by a single goal, probably in the second half.
You know, what's really important here is the journey we took. It's the method. We started with the obvious thing, the favorite to win.
But then we found that one key data point that totally reframed the problem. We used a huge historical data set not as the final answer, but more as a guide. And then we let our key clue filter through all those possibilities to land on a much smarter, much more nuanced prediction.
It's just a great reminder, isn't it, that even in something as passionate and unpredictable as a game of football, sometimes the coldest, hardest numbers can tell the most compelling, the hottest story. It kind of makes you wonder, what other parts of life could be decoded